victory. Mother, we thank you, your joy shines in everything. Open these channels that the world once more may sing. Rivers seek passage unhindered by rock or tree, so may our lives flow steadfast toward the sea. Mother, we thank you, your joy shines in everything. Open these channels that the world once more may sing. Mother, we thank you, your joy shines in everything. Open these channels that the world once more may sing.
Well, number 42 in your chant book, Lord, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. I am thine, I am thine. Are there any children heading to Sunday school? Now's a great time to do that. We'll continue chanting, "O God Beautiful," number 45 in your chant book. God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful. At thy feet, O I do bow. At thy feet, O I do bow. O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful. In the forest thou art green, in the forest thou art green, in the mountain thou art high, in the mountain thou art high, in the river thou art restless, in the river thou art restless, in the ocean thou art grave, in the ocean thou art grave. O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful. At thy feet, O I do bow. At thy feet, O I do bow. O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful. To the serviceful thou art service, to the serviceful thou art service, to the lover thou art love, to the lover thou art love, to the sorrowful thou art sympathy, to the sorrowful thou art sympathy, to the yogi thou art bliss, to the yogi thou art bliss. O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful. At thy feet, O I do bow. At thy feet, O I do bow. O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful. In the forest thou art green, in the forest thou art green, in the mountain thou art high, in the mountain thou art high, in the river thou art restless, in the river thou art restless, in the ocean thou art grave, in the ocean thou art grave. O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful. At thy feet, O I do bow. At thy feet, O I do bow. O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful, O God, beautiful. To the serviceful thou art service, to the serviceful thou art service, to the lover thou art love, to the lover thou art love, to the sorrowful thou art sympathy, to the sorrowful thou art sympathy, to the yogi thou art bliss, to the yogi thou art bliss, to the yogi thou art bliss, to the yogi thou art bliss. O God, beautiful, 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 O God, beautiful. Let's offer ourselves completely in meditation up to that beautiful, beautiful God within and all around.
Good morning. Our reading is from Rays of the One Light, weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. Week 17. How high should we aspire? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. The passage this week is from the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 5. I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. The easiest explanation for these words is that they were spoken in criticism of the scribes and Pharisees, particularly since Jesus was often verbally attacked by them and stood up to them fearlessly. However, it wouldn't have been much of a challenge to the disciples who aspired to spiritual perfection to tell them, don't be like those who lack any such aspiration. Jesus, in fact, says only a few verses later, be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. What Jesus was referring to here then was the self-righteousness of the priests. Don't seek perfection, he was saying to his disciples, in the image you project toward others. Don't be satisfied with a goodness born merely of ego definitions. The highest virtue is to transcend the very thought of personal virtue in the realization of God alone as the doer. Before this realization, even the thought, I am kind or I am truthful, is self-limiting. As it says in the Bhagavad Gita, the 7th chapter, yet hard the wise Mahatma is to find that man who saith, all is Vasudev. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om.
Morning, bright souls. You just look great. You should come up here one by one and just look at you all. It's really nice. I'm going to tell a joke right off the top, okay? This was actually a Divine Mother inspired wordplay thing, which she often does. You ever notice the Divine Mother comes to you individually in the way that you understand things? You know, it's just kind of a personal, just like a special little kind of thing that you have with your loved one, you know, where they kind of say just the right thing, that they know that you like that thing. That ever happened to you? Whether it's like license plates sometimes, talks to you through personalized license plates, or pennies on the ground sometimes. That's the way, I'm telling my own little ways, but you can, you know, sorry, I shouldn't reveal these little sweet little things, but anyway. But another way is wordplay. And seeing Vikram in the back there, this harkens back to a long time ago at Ananda Village when Vikram was Richard, and we were all living in the same group house there at Ananda Village. There was another lady in the house named Helen as well. And so often the kitchen in the morning was kind of a little beehive of activity. And so Helen was in there. She was a real health person, and she had wheatgrass that she grew in these big trays, and every morning she would come in with scissors and just snip off her portion of wheatgrass, you know, to juice it. And Richard at the time was just kind of in a really inward sort of phase, which it was a really good thing to be, and he wanted to spend long hours by himself in the meditation temple that we had. So I was kind of observing all this, and Divine Mother just inspired me that Richard is a lone mower and Helen is a lawnmower. Wasn't that good? That was like, it's like, that was really good. So, The whole point is just to be open as much as we can to God's presence and inspiration, because it's way more fun than just being kind of closed off. And that's what Jesus was saying in his own way. Is that, the whole thing, he was saying to his disciples there, the whole thing, guys and gals, is to just remember that God's with you all the time and to feel that joyful presence. And we get into this thing sometimes of feeling separated. So, we've come out of this whole Kali Yuga period of time. Kali Yuga, for those who aren't used to the yugas, and if you aren't, go buy that book out there that's called The Yugas. It's fascinating. But it talks about the different periods of consciousness on the planet, these epochs of time that we go through cyclically. That's why I'm doing this. We kind of go up in consciousness and down in consciousness repeatedly on the planet. And we've kind of come up out of the lowest portion of consciousness on the planet. We're kind of like 10 years old, on a lifespan of 80, I think. We're sort of 10 years old now, planetarily. So we sort of behave like that, don't we? It's kind of like, I want mine. You're not going to tell me what to do. I want my Starbucks ideally the way I want it, kind of thing. And we tend to be a little selfish planetarily, and we think of what I want, and we don't really think so much of what the other kids in the playground want. But we'll learn. We'll grow up. We'll eventually kind of learn what makes us happy. And we have to be patient with that process. You can't just jump from 10 to 40 or 50 or 60 all at once. So compassion, just like a mom, is important. But the trick here is that we've come from this whole history of this lower consciousness that saw everything as separate, to gradually realizing more and more that no, we're interconnected. We see that happening all over the world, don't we? Just in the last how many years of internet and virtual everything, where so much of what we used to think of as defined cash, now we're cryptocurrency, and it's just kind of beginning to get a little more fluid as to how we define things. Relationships are not so much you're playing that role and I'm playing this role and this is the way it is and we're fixed and we stay in that position, as it is kind of like, how can we support each other? How can we flow through this life and help each other, support each other towards the goal that we're all trying to achieve? Eventually we'll learn as societies and countries to take that same attitude of supporting each other so that we can all find the common good for us all. But we have to be patient with it. So in our lives, how does that pertain? Well, what I love is the concept that Yogananda talked about, which is the 8 qualities of God. And he defined those as, okay, this is a pop quiz. What are the 8 qualities of God? Those of you that have been around for a while. Love. Light. Sound. Power or energy. Yeah, that's another one. Wisdom. Peace. Joy and calmness. Yeah, wasn't that good? Okay, thank you. So that isn't just so much a pop quiz. It is something really good to remind yourself a lot. A pop, or if you're a mother, a mom quiz, it could be. So you can put that up on your refrigerator, and if ever there's conflict in the family or whatever like that, just go up the refrigerator and say, okay, which of these qualities do we need to bring more of into the conversation? You can do that with your family or just with yourself. But it's useful because the whole trick that Jesus was saying to his disciples is, instead of thinking of ourselves as separate from you, my interest is separate from your interest, wait a minute, that's delusion. We really, really act that way just because God created us this way. Go figure that he made us think we're all separate from each other. That's just a big game that he loves to play, But our joy comes from just kind of peeking above that delusion and realizing, no, actually, we're all interconnected, aren't we? Oh, actually, it's God that's all of this. Oh, actually, I'm not just this separate individual where I have to be scared about not having it all together or being found out by other people. I think I've said this before, but occasionally I have this dream of, being in public and realizing I'm in my pajamas, and so here we are. It's kind of like... So I'd say whatever you're afraid of looking like, go ahead and practice it as quickly as you can just to get over it and realize it's fine. It's all God just having a good time. So just as much as we can remember, whenever we're stuck in that, kind of things are a little off, or I'm a little scared or nervous about what might happen, or I can't do this, it's too big for me, surely you've made a mistake, kind of thing, just realize, no, actually, it's God expressing through us. And the more we can just open up to that and let God's bliss come through and realize, okay, what quality of God am I needing to feel right now? Joy. Oh, yeah, okay. God, how do you want to express your joy through me? How are you expressing your joy through me in a way that I just simply have to kind of let go of all those distractions that keep me from that joy? So I want to say a word about distractions, too, because if you have a little bit of, a feeling that something's a little off, we can go two ways with that. We can either kind of get busier to keep ourselves from kind of like feeling that feeling of restlessness or discomfort. And as a society, we tend to do that, like chronically, don't we? Facebook or phones or TV or whatever it is that we just have to kind of get ourselves involved in because something's feeling too uncomfortable to really hang with. So I want to just say during this coming week especially, anytime there's something that's a little off there, just take a breath and just hang there with that. And just say, okay, there's something here, I wonder what it is. And instead of being afraid of it, just be open to it. And don't think that you're alone. Just involve God with it and say, okay, God, this is you happening here. There's really no separateness. It's really just you expressing through me. There's no me, there's no you. But help me with this. What is it you're feeling? What is it you're trying to get me to learn here? That ultimately will expand my awareness to where, as Jesus and all the great masters are constantly trying to get us to get to that point, we realize there's nothing else. All is Vasudev. That expression, wise is the hard Mahatma to find that says all is Vasudev. Okay, well, Mahatma means great soul, and Vasudev is another word for the Lord, the infinite spirit. So we want to be those Mahatmas. We want to be those wise souls who remember as much as we can, oh, right, all of it's God. Even the things inside that are kind of uncomfortable or uncertain or scary or overwhelming, it's all God. So the more we can just kind of take a deep breath and say, oh, okay, there's God right there, right in the middle of that thing. And just hang out there in that and let ourselves feel that from God's point of view. What if we saw all of this happening from God's point of view? What would that look like? Well, Manisha's going to tell us.
When we're up in the room upstairs beforehand, every week, the ministers, he said, okay, so you're going to read the affirmation, and, I'll do the opening prayer. He didn't tell me about that. So many of us who have been with Ananda for quite a while have spiritual names. And they can be really hard for people to remember because, one, they have so many syllables, Dambara. And also, it's not like you can say, oh, yeah, that's my uncle's name. Good, I'll be able to remember your name is Sudarshan. So it's a little bit intimidating for people when we first introduce ourselves and exchange names. So I always take a little bit of time to make the person feel comfortable. And I say it's Manisha. That first A is drawn out just a little bit. Manisha. And even though it's spelled I-S-H, it's pronounced E-S-H. Manisha. Manisha. And I repeat it a few times so that they have a chance to incorporate it, and it makes them feel safer with it. So it's just an exercise I like to go through with people to help them be a little bit more comfortable with my name. And it's fun. I often make them laugh by saying, and your name is Sally? You'll have to help me with that. It will take me a few times to remember your name. Forgive me if I ask you again what your name is. But it's nice to meet you, Sally. And then they might ask me what my name means. And that's a little bit harder question for me because I can so easily step into humility, awkward humility, because my name means meditation, wisdom, mind of God. And that can be a little bit intimidating for me. And I have to be careful not to sound boastful or arrogant or aloof. Mind of God. So I find that I have to play with that a little bit because you don't want false humility, but you also don't want arrogance. So where is it in the middle? How high should we aspire in our everyday lives, in our everyday happenings? I was helping Asha when we lived in Palo Alto. I was helping Asha one year with the costumes for the school play. Every year they put on this magnificent production, and it's at the core of their year-long curriculum. And so it's always an exquisite bringing together of all kinds of different disciplines: color, dance, music, costumes, the script. Everything comes together in this beautiful way. And the costumes can be very elaborate and extravagant. Well, not extravagant, but elaborate and meaningful, especially if Asha is in charge of the costumes, because she has this love of costume and this very creative energy around making costumes, and especially for children. She's just head over heels about children. So we worked together over a couple of months, helping all of the costumes get made for the 50 children that were in the school. And pretty early on, she had introduced me to everybody, because the two of us were going to be working with them, and they all already knew her. And so she introduced me to everybody, but pretty early on, I was working with a group of young girls. They were probably 5th grade or 6th grade, and they had forgotten my name. And so one brave girl said, "So what is your name?" And I said, "Manisha." And they all sort of went like, cocked their heads, and the same little girl said, "Manisha?" They were very well-read young ladies, and it was probably a recent vocabulary word, and they just couldn't understand why somebody would have the name Manisha. And I thought, Manisha, Manisha. I said, yeah. And I just let it go with that. And so we went on and created these costumes, and they eventually did learn what my name was, and it just all worked out fine. And I like to tease Dambara sometimes. I mean, he's such a great victim because he's so cheerful and always interested in getting outside of himself and looking at things from another point of view. So when we're on opposite sides of a discussion, and he thinks, "No, it's this," and I'll say, "It's this," and he said, "No, it's this," and I'll say, "You're probably right. I'm usually wrong." And he freezes because he knows that I'm almost never wrong. I only stand my ground when I'm almost certain that I'm right. And he always forgets that. And so we'll go through this little, "Oh, no, it's this way. Oh, no, it's this way. Okay, yeah, I'm usually wrong." And it just helps bring himself to another, okay, well, maybe we should talk about this a little bit more. So I play with my name a lot. But it is that question of how high should we aspire? Where does humility come in? People talk often about Swami Kriyananda. Swami Kriyananda, who founded Ananda years ago, and so many people have had a close relationship with him over the years, and then other people have learned from them stories. He's written so many books, and so many people are in such awe of him and show such deep respect for what he has brought into our lives and taught us and help us live meaningful, profound lives. And we have a tendency to not only praise him, but also belittle ourselves. So I could never say it that beautifully. Swami spoke in such a profound way, and he said it so beautifully. I could never say it that way. It's almost we think that the only way we can make him shine and stand forth is if we diminish ourselves. And it's not true. He can stand and shine all on his own. We don't have to diminish ourselves in order to bring out his greatness. He's there. So instead of thinking, I could never do that, I try and think of in terms of, I understand what he's saying. I can see where he came to that idea, and I can understand the energy around it. And I have felt that way myself. And I try to find ways in which I am similar to Swami, instead of always thinking of ways where he is just so much greater than I am, and there's no way I can reach that level. Mother Teresa, there's the story of Mother Teresa one time. This was when she was being considered by the Catholic Church for canonization as a saint, and she was still alive. And a reporter asked her the question, how does it feel to be being considered for sainthood? And she turned toward him quite forcefully, and she said, why aren't you? Why aren't you being considered for sainthood? Everything I can do, you can do. Why aren't you being considered for sainthood? Find your truth, find your center, be strong, live in your core, realize God. So, how high should we aspire? I remember sitting when I first came to Ananda, and I would come to Sunday service, and I would sit in the audience, and I would listen to Asha stand up in front of this room filled with people, and she would talk about these spiritual truths in ways where she spoke from her heart, and she inspired so many people, and she was just able to find the words, and I sat there and I thought, I would never be able to do that. We have to learn not to limit ourselves. It's something that we might be working our way toward. And maybe we're not as good as Swami yet. Maybe we're not quite there, but we're working in that direction. That's where we're going. Humility especially false humility, isn't going to serve us in those ways. We need to move with confidence and courage and joy and wisdom toward those things that are drawing us, that are magnetizing us. For several years, I studied and practiced cranial sacral therapy. And it's a very gentle healing technique that I found to be quite powerful. And I learned that just by putting my hands on somebody's abdomen, that I could bring the focus of my energy down through the tissues of their body, and I could find where their liver wasn't able to move, and that was a spot that had been causing them pain for years. And that I could, with my focused energy, I could move the energy around that adhesion, and I could release that adhesion, and I could relieve people of pain that they had had for years. I saw miracle after miracle on that table. So how high should we aspire? We have a garden at Laurelwood, and I'm in charge of the garden this spring. I almost said this year, but I'm hoping it's only for this spring. And so with the help of many people, we were able to plant all of these tiny, tiny seedlings of chard and kale and spinach, and they're just all out there. We've planted over 2,000 small seedlings out in this one area that we've prepared for them. And then on Tuesday, it might have been Wednesday, we had a major water leak at Laurelwood, and we lost all of the water in our cistern. So we were waterless. And those were the hot days. Remember those 2 or 3 really warm, sunny days? Yeah. And there were those seedlings out there without any water. And I thought, oh. And then we were able to localize the leak and turned off the valves to that section so the cistern could refill. And then once the cistern had gotten some volume in it, then I went and scouted out all of these hoses and hooked them up to a spigot and dragged them all down there, and I couldn't quite reach the sprinklers, and so I had to move everything over to another spigot, and I went and found one more hose, and I finally got water to the garden. And it had taken me about 2 hours to wrestle with the hoses. And when I got out to the garden, all of the chard was flat, completely dried out on the ground. And I thought, oh, we've lost the chard. And I thought, well, you never know. So I very gently sprinkled them and went row after row after row and watered every single seedling in the garden. Then I went back and watered the driest ones again, just very gently, so the water didn't splash on them and bruise them, but just went through and watered all of them. I thought, that's the best I can do. And the next morning I went back, and all these little seedlings were standing up straight, and they were ready to greet the day, and they were just fine. So how high should we aspire? I think that we should do the best we can, but all through it, pay attention to the energy that's moving through it. That's where we escape false humility. That's where we understand that God is the doer, that it's not me. It's not, I saved the chard. It's, wow, look at how resilient those little tiny seedlings can be, that they can go from completely dried out, flat on the ground, to standing up in just a couple of hours, ready to meet the new day. How, it's not that I fixed her liver that she's had problems with for 20 years. It's, isn't it amazing that we are moving into a higher yuga and we can sense that energy and not only discover ways to heal, but train other people who have never even imagined it, and then they can heal. Isn't it amazing that the pollen can come and float through the air, these little microscopic things that we can't even see, and they can invade us and take us to our knees? I get to experience that day after day after day. But it's not, oh God, my allergies. It's like, wow, isn't that amazing that those little tiny things can do this to me? That's how we stay in the flow of what's going on around us. That's how we aspire as high as we possibly can, but recognize that it's that universal energy, it's that intelligence, it's that wisdom that moves through everything, that we get to witness, that we get to work with, that we get to learn and understand and bring into our hearts and realize that we are working with God. We are working with God's energy in everything we do. And that's where we aspire. So go out and be strong, be brave, be a saint, do profound things, make miracles, be still and witness a miracle. Understand that all-pervading intelligence is God, and that we live in the presence of God.